Let's just sew whatever. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are cutting out the Valora bag. This is the small size. I'm so excited. It's super quick to cut and interface. It takes very little interfacing, very little hardware, and it's just a breath of fresh air that we all needed. I will show you guys the size difference in a second. We're gonna like time loop it back. Okay, so there is the small compared to the large. The small does fit an NCW, and I've got a Lola here to kind of compare it to. I would say it's a similar width. Not quite as deep though. And then here is the large version. And this is compared to a Blanche barrel bag that's just sitting here. So I have been carrying the small around for like a month and a half, I want to say, and I love it so much. It's got a nice zipper piece here, and then the magnetic snap just ensures that it's nice and shut. So I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so I'm using these two vinyls here. Thought these would be really fun. These are from Backstitch Fabrics. I'm going to go ahead and start with my main panels. The measurements are on the pieces, so you can use a ruler if you'd like, or you can just go ahead and use the pattern piece. Totally up to you. I am using these clips to help me hold things in place. And then of course you could rotary cut around if you're fancy like that. Let me go ahead and use this marking pen. And I'll just slide my piece out of the way. Grab some scissors. And then this piece up here, I can actually use for my zipper panel. And then I think for this side piece here, I'm just going to use my rotary cutter so that it's a nice straight line. And then what's great about this pattern is it requires very little interfacing, especially if you're using a vinyl. However, there are instructions included for how to make it with other fabrics. And I hope to eventually make videos of me making it in other fabrics, but I have no plans at this time. I mostly just don't have the time. However, if you are a creator and you would like to make a video for it, please feel free. I would love to see you guys make it and see how you make it. Because my favorite thing about designing patterns is just kind of making them a jumping off point for you to unleash your creativity on, which I saw my testers do. They did such an amazing job. I love it. Okay. So these are going to be my two main pieces. And then I'm going to grab my zipper panel piece and cut that out. And you can see it's perfect for that. So I'm going to cut 2 exterior and 2 lining. I love using waterproof canvas for my linings. However, if you decide for this bag you want to use something else, just make sure you're interfacing it appropriately. Okay. Hi, Ben. Maybe I'll save those for little zipper pulls or something. Another thing that I like to do is honestly just cut around the pattern piece instead of tracing. especially on these smaller ones. So yeah, you could actually like put this through a zipper pull and save every little bit you can, especially since it's backstitch. Okay, there's that. And then I have the front slip pocket to cut. And the measurements for that are on the pattern piece. So if you don't want to fold this, you don't have to. You can just use those measurements, which I'm going to just go ahead and use those measurements. There's my slip pocket. And then I have the accent piece that I'm going to use for my side panels and my handles and the bottom of my bag. I'm going to start out with my straps, and then all of the extra pieces you need to cut are on the side panel here. So if you want to, you could actually use a little bit of tape and then just kind of cross things out as you cut them out. So let's start with the handles. Since I'm using a 6-inch wide ruler, I can just cut one full piece and then cut it in half. That's one reason I absolutely love my 24x6 ruler. It's the perfect handle ruler. And as always, do not judge the way I use my vertery cutter. And I won't judge how you use yours. And then I'm going to cut this in half, 3 inches by 15 inches. You could definitely choose to make the handles longer if you wish. But I found this to be a very proportionate handle size. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches very lightly down the center on both, just while I'm there. And then you could also grab your double-sided tape if you wanted. Do that. All right. So then I'm going to cut my side panels. And you could, of course, be doing this on the wrong side of the fabric and trace it out. However, I'm just going to go ahead and cut right along the lines, living on the edge. I'm going to use some extra clips to help hold it at the top, and then just cut off at the side here. And then we'll repeat that for the other side. If you are using a non-directional fabric for this bag, you can go ahead and flip this piece so that it lines up perfectly with the opposite side. So then you're saving a lot of vinyl. Well, not a lot, a decent amount. We'll go down here. And you could also cut your crossbody strap from the length of the vinyl before you get started. I have little 1/2-inch vinyl crossbody straps that I'm going to use for it, just to save fabric. Okay, again, adding these clips. Hi, Ben. What are you doing? Hi. Bless you. Bless you. Okay, so now those are my side pockets. And I'm going to fold this piece up because you do need to fold it to cut the lining pieces. So, do I need to cut anything else out of this vinyl? I've got my handles. I'm going to cut the side connectors out of something else. And then I'm also going to cut the bottom fabric out of something else because you're not really going to see it, so why waste? Not waste, but why use an expensive one? I've got this shimmery red that I think will look really nice. And it's just a little scrap, so I mean, we may as well use it up. So you can, of course, lay your bottom panel onto the fabric, but I'm just going to use those cut measurements. That's one thing about rectangular patterns that I really love, is that you can just use your ruler so they're nice and straight. Whoop. And then this bottom panel, if you're using the suggested materials, the bottom panel is the only thing that's going to really need interfacing besides the magnetic snap placements. All right, so my bottom panel is cut, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut my side connectors. So 8 inches. I'm going to cut mine 8 inches by 3 inches. Oh, nope, that's not 8 inches. Down here. 8 inches by 3, yes, perfect. And then just cut that in half. And if you are making the large version of this bag, those measurements are going to differ, but they will be marked on the pattern piece. And then if you want, while you're here, you can add a little bit of interfacing to these pieces for some extra strength, or not, totally up to you. And then I'm marking the center, which is 3/4 of an inch, so that when I add the double-sided tape, I know exactly where it goes. So there's that. And that is all the vinyl that I'm going to need. However, if you wanted to, let's say, add a vinyl overlay to your interior slip pocket, you would just cut like a 1 inch by 9 inch piece and then add that. Trying to think of anything else. Same with like your exterior slip pocket. If you wanted to add a little vinyl trim, which maybe now that I'm thinking about it, I do, you just cut like a 1 inch piece, add it to the top, you know. Maybe I will. Let's do that. Yeah, that'll kind of break it up a little bit. So I'm gonna want to cut that 9 inches wide by maybe 1 inch, and I'll just fold it over the top. Perfect. And you definitely want to use a rotary cutter if you're going to have a raw edged piece. And so after I sew that together, or maybe even before, I'll sew that on. We'll see. I'll just clip it there so that I know that's where that goes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to cutting out our stabilizer. You can use a layer of Peltex 71F, or you could use like 2 layers of Decaville Light. You could use a layer of Decaville Heavy, just any kind of stabilizer for the bottom panel. And you're just going to want to cut it to the measurements listed. Okay, so I've got my Decaville Heavy here. I'm going to measure. Oops, sorry. that's that. Yes, and then we need to grab our test square, because that is a pattern piece, which is just 2 inches by 2 inches, but you're going to need to cut 2 of these for the small, 4 of these for the large. These are the magnetic snap stabilizer. So you can cut it out, you can measure it, you can just hold it in place and cut around. This is great for little scrap pieces of Decaville light you might have sitting around too. You can use that up, because we all know this stuff is not cheap. Again, you can use the 71F Peltex, or you could layer up Decaville light, anything you want, just so long as you stabilize those magnetic snap pieces. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside. If you want, you can go ahead and mark out the purse feet placement if you're adding them. If you're not, don't even worry about it. But you're going to want to center this along the bottom. There should be 1/2 inch along all sides. So that is it for the exterior pieces that we need, and we can move on to our lining. I am using waterproof canvas to line this bag, so that I don't need to apply any interfacing. It's not going to fray if there's a raw edge or anything like that. So that's why I use it for my bags, as well as like slip pockets and stuff like that. All right, so now we're ready to start on our lining pieces. Like I said, I'm using waterproof canvas, and I always like to use a clip to hold all the pattern pieces I no longer need together. So I've got my stabilizer piece, I can clip that. And I've got all of these pieces. So for my exterior slip pocket, what I'm actually going to do is just lay the exterior slip pocket in place. And again, these clips are wonderful to just hold that and cut around. And I like to do right sides together and just clip it in place while I'm here, because then when I get to the sewing machine, it is ready to go. Make sure the top is at the top, of course. Okay, there's that. With it. And then my bottom panel, I could use the pattern piece, but I've also got this piece here. So I'm just gonna, again, clip that in place. I just find this goes so much quicker. And then my bottom pieces are together. And then the zipper panel, I'm just going to, again, repeat that. Lay them in place. And my waterproof canvas, I always like to cut it a little bit wider on the zipper panels because I can trim off the excess, no problem. So I'll just cut it like 1/2 inch wider, just so there's plenty of excess. And then when I'm folding right sides together and top stitching, I can trim off whatever's needed to be trimmed. And if you wanted to use the waterproof canvas for your crossbody strap, you absolutely could do that. Okay, there's that. And then I've got my upper panel for the lining and my lower lining panel, and side pockets left to go. But the other ones are done. Oh, I also have my additional cut list that's on the side panel. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay my side panel into place. You could probably fold your fabric in half as well and like cut 2 at the same exact time. And you really want to make sure that you're folding this piece up so that your lining fits very nicely. Otherwise it can get a little bit saggy. If you cut it the same exact size, this way it's just a glorious fit. Okay, so there's my side panels. So now I need to cut a zipper pocket for the inside and my interior slip pocket. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my ruler and rotary cutter for those 2 pieces and use the measurements given in the pattern. There's my slip pocket. If you wanted to, you could just fold that top edge over now. You could use double-sided tape or just clip it. And then if you're going to add an overlay to this pocket, you may want to trim it about 1/2 inch shorter or whatever you would fold it over, and then add your trim. If you are using a woven fabric, you're going to want to cut 2 of these pieces and put right sides together. Okay, and then my zipper pocket. Yes, that is correct. I was like, wait, what? And then a little time-saving trick I have for this as well is instead of carefully measuring out 2 of these, all I'm gonna do is lay it face down. So that way the fabrics are contrasting, and cut that out that way. It's like, it takes all the brain concentration out of it. So there's my zippered pocket, and now I'm done with my additional cut list. And all that's left is the upper and lower lining panels. And you could absolutely use your ruler for this, especially this upper lining panel. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that just so I know the pieces are super straight so that everything comes together nicely. So I can just cut them both out at the same time. This may not be true for the large size as far as cutting them out at the same time goes, but and then make sure you're cutting from the correct edge. There's been way too many times that I have cut out a panel and realized I was looking at the wrong edge of the ruler, and I'm just like, oh, crud. Okay, 3 inches wide. All right. So then you can transfer your magnetic snap placement piece, and we'll get our Decaville Decaville Heavy squares interfaced. Where did I put them? There they are. So these need to be centered on the back panel. So I'm going to grab my marking pencil and my ruler. And it's going to be 1/2 inch from the top edge and the bottom. So I'm just going to mark out 1/2 inch. Okay. And then what you can do is find your center, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So there's my center, and then you could fold this in half, or you know that you want it 1 inch on either side. Therefore, it would be 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 from each outer edge, which I will put in the pattern. Okay. So yeah, then you just fuse that into place. On your waterproof canvas. So if you're going to use an iron, make sure you're using a pressing cloth, and I would probably iron it with the canvas side up. The thin side, or the smooth side of waterproof canvas is the wrong side, so you would want to interface it to the wrong side and then put your iron on top with a pressing cloth. If you are ironing directly onto waterproof canvas, it is likely that it will melt. I'm going to use my heat press for just like 5 seconds and it'll be good to go. Okay, so here is my waterproof canvas after using the heat press. It's definitely a lot flimsier, but it will, as it sits, it'll harden back up. That's what she said. So I'll go ahead and mark where my snap goes. Now for the large size, there are 2 magnetic snaps. You could totally choose to just do 1 magnetic snap. You could also do hidden magnets in this location. If you choose to not do it, I will say that the bag tends to like fall open at the top, especially with the handles. So I do recommend using a magnet of sorts. All right, and all that's left is to cut the lower lining panel, and then the bag is done. Well, you still have to sew it, but it's all cut out. I get my waterproof canvas from FWD Fabrics. They also sell it on Amazon. I think they have it at Walmart. And I've seen makers say that they have found it at Spotlight if you are in another country, things like that. But like I said, you can also use a canvas or a cotton fabric. Just make sure to interface it. And then if you get confused because this square or this piece is somewhat like a square, what I would do is fold it in half and just store it folded in half, because then you know that this is the top. Plus we're going to fold it in half to add our slip pocket. We're going to fold it in half to add our zippered pocket. So it's just, you're kind of saving a step if you just go ahead and fold it in half now. Okay, so I've just got a little bit left on the top here, and if I don't trim it down, it's going to mess with our seam allowances a little bit anyway. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to see the Valora bags that you guys make. I'm so excited to be releasing a pattern for the first time since like 2019. But yeah, thank you guys so much.